Hey there, welcome back. This is the 78th segment of Making Sense for 7 minutes, and it is the 8th segment out of 25 where we are taking a hard look at evil and suffering. Now, when considering evil and suffering, either separately or together, because often, although not always, the two are connected. The question that has to be addressed, and this is the question that we are pursuing and are in the middle of right now, is how do you reconcile the notion of an all-loving and all-powerful God in light of the all-pervasive presence and influx of evil and suffering in our world? Now, this is a question that comes out of a biblical worldview context in a way that is very stark, because it is the biblical worldview that maintains that God is indeed all-loving and all-powerful and intimately involved with his creation, and yet it is a creation that has a pervasive presence of evil and suffering in it. And so, working from the context of a biblical worldview, I'm offering 5 appeals to justify, to defend God, if you will, which is the undertaking of a study, a pursuit called theodicy, kind of a sub-subject of theology, an effort to defend God, if you will, in the face of evil and suffering. So, our first appeal was the appeal to a suffering God. Our second appeal was the appeal to origins. And this is the appeal to mystery. Now, a really good summary of this appeal has been put forth by a philosopher by the name of Alvin Palinka. And basically, he sums it up by saying, and I'm paraphrasing here, what makes us think that if God does have a good reason for allowing evil and suffering in the world, that theists, such as myself, would be the first to know? And what makes us think that were he to reveal his reasons, that we'd be able to comprehend those reasons? Now, to unpack this, remember, we're working in the context of a biblical worldview. Now, if you're working from the context of another worldview, then your speculation, your inferences, your conclusions are going to be different. Now, of course, if your worldview happens to be inaccurate, then all of your speculations and inferences and conclusions, of course, are going to be out of whack, out of kilter. So, some observations related to the appeal to mystery. The first is recognition of who we are and who God is. God never minds us asking questions, but we will never be in a position to demand that he provide answers, or in some way to hold him responsible and to give an account to us. You see, he's the creator and we're the creatures. He's the Lord, we're the subjects. He's God and we're not. Then, what makes us think that if he did tell us, that we'd be able to comprehend his reasons? He's infinite, and we are finite. Now, if you look in the Old Testament book of Deuteronomy, chapter 29, verse 29, we're told that the secret things belong to the Lord our God, but the things revealed belong to us and to our children forever. There are things that God chooses for his good purposes not to reveal. And those things he has revealed and does reveal seem to be on a need-to-know basis. But there is a great deal that he has revealed. Of course, someone who hardly ever reads or never reads their Bible have only themselves to blame for their ignorance. Some of God's purposes are not revealed in the moment, but remain a mystery until they are seen in retrospect sometime later. Often, our immediate circumstances give no indication at all that God is all-loving and that he loves us and that he has good purposes in mind for us. And oftentimes we have to look outside our immediate circumstances to the historical fact that is set forth to us in the Bible and is put very pointedly in Romans 5:8. And this is that God demonstrates his love toward us in that while we were still sinners, Christ died for us. Well, there's enough for us to know, despite all of the mystery, that he loves us. Thanks, y'all.